every single weekend. Millions of people walk into their local British pub thinking they are choosing between independent small businesses, supporting local families, and enjoying a fair market. That belief is completely wrong. What if I told you that no matter which tap handle you choose or which cozy corner you sit in, your money flows directly into the pockets of the exact same invisible financial empire? Hundreds of millions of pounds are being funneled straight out of local neighborhoods into massive corporate bank accounts. How did an industry built on community quietly become a hidden real estate monopoly? To understand this invisible empire, you have to look past the warm fireplace, the polished taps, and the friendly bartender pouring a glass. You see, the average customer believes that pub owners make their money by serving great drinks and building a welcoming atmosphere. It feels like a simple, traditional business model, right? But behind that cozy curtain lies an astonishing reality. Over 40% of all pubs in the United Kingdom are controlled by massive corporate holding companies. Known across high finance as pubcos, these aren't brewing companies and they aren't hospitality experts. They are giant property management machines operating in the shadows of the high street when you order a drink. You think you're paying for ingredients, labor, and a bit of profit for the owner. But in reality, a massive chunk of that cash immediately bypasses the venue, traveling directly to private equity firms and global investment funds. But how did these corporations manage to pull off such a massive, silent takeover without the public ever noticing? Let's trace the journey of a man named David, a passion-driven publican who dreamed of running his own traditional British pub. David found a charming, historic venue in a bustling town, signed a contract with a major pub corporation, and invested £50,000 of his own hard-earned savings. He thought he was becoming an independent business owner, building his own future. Within 3 months, David realized he wasn't a business owner at all. He was an unpaid operator, carrying all the risk for a corporate landlord that couldn't lose. You see, pubcos use a deeply hidden strategy called the dual revenue stream. Under this structure, David didn't just pay monthly rent for the physical building. He was also forced under a strict legal contract, known as the beer tie, to purchase every single drop of alcohol directly from his landlord. Now, you might think, well, the landlord probably gives him a wholesale discount, right? Wrong. The corporate landlord buys beer from major breweries at massive scale, getting huge bulk discounts. But instead of passing those savings to David, they mark up the prices by up to 100% higher than open market rates. If David tried to buy a keg of lager from a local distributor for £90, his corporate contract forbade it. He was legally forced to buy that exact same keg from the pubco for £180. Think about the psychological trap here. David works 80 hours a week, managing staff, cleaning floors, worrying about electricity bills, desperately trying to keep the doors open. If the pub has a slow month, David suffers. If costs rise, David pays, but the corporate pubco, they collect their guaranteed rent on the first of the month, and they make a massive risk-free profit margin on every single keg delivered to his cellar. It is an economic system where the tenant absorbs 100% of the operational risk, while the corporate landlord extracts guaranteed, high-margin cash flow. But this raises a fascinating question. If the game is so heavily rigged against individual owners, why don't these tenants just quit? And why does the pubco machine keep growing bigger every single year? The answer lies in a masterclass of psychological exploitation and asymmetric business design. Pubcos sell a dream, the romantic British dream of owning a local community hub. When an exhausted operator like David finally goes bankrupt and walks away, the pubco doesn't panic at all. They simply keep his security deposit, clean the floors, and list the venue online as an exciting business opportunity. Within weeks, another hopeful dreamer walks through the door, invests their life savings, and restarts the extraction cycle all over again. The turnover of human operators doesn't break the business model. It is the business model, but there is a far deeper layer to this financial machine, one that transforms these companies from simple landlords into unkillable real estate titans. To see it, we have to step out of the local neighborhood and look at the macroeconomics of land ownership. Why can't a smart, independent entrepreneur simply open a new, modern pub across the street, charge lower prices, and put the greedy corporate pubco out of business? They can't, because the barrier to entry is almost impossible to overcome. British high streets and historic town centers have incredibly strict zoning laws, historic preservation rules, and limited commercial licenses. You cannot simply build a new pub whenever you want. The physical footprint of social gathering spaces in Britain is strictly finite, and the giant pubcos own almost all of it. They don't view their venues as bars. They view them as irreplaceable, high-yield commercial real estate assets. By controlling thousands of prime physical locations, they have created an impenetrable geographic moat. If you want to drink in the center of town, you are almost guaranteed to step onto land owned by a corporate pubco. Whether their name is on the front door or not, this spatial monopoly gives them incredible leverage over the entire supply chain. When giant multinational beverage manufacturers want to sell their products to millions of consumers, they can't negotiate with tens of thousands of individual pub owners. They have to sit down in a boardroom with 3 or 4 pubco executives, who dictate terms, demand massive listing fees, and squeeze suppliers for every last drop of margin. The corporate pubco sits right in the middle of the entire ecosystem, extracting rents from the tenant below and extracting rebates from the manufacturer above. It is a double-sided economic bottleneck. And what happens if a specific neighborhood changes, foot traffic drops, and a local pub becomes completely unviable for an independent owner? That means total bankruptcy and ruin, but for a corporate pubco, it is simply a trigger for real estate optimization. Because these corporations own the underlying land, a failing pub business is actually an opportunity. They can quietly shut down the venue, apply for change of use permits, and redevelop the prime land into high-density luxury apartments, retail stores, or long-term residential rentals. In many cases, the land beneath the pub is worth 3 to 4 times more than the business operating inside it. They extract profit from the pub while it runs, and when it fails, they liquidate the physical asset for a massive capital gain. They have engineered a system where they win in good economic times and win even bigger in bad economic times. So, how did global investors figure out how to turn a humble pint of beer into a bulletproof financial derivative? It all traces back to private equity firms discovering a massive secret in the early 2000s. They realized that pub cash flows were amazingly predictable, because even during economic recessions, people still go to the pub to socialize, vent, and connect. Investment groups began launching aggressive, debt-fueled acquisitions, buying up thousands of independent venues, bundling them together into giant corporate structures, and using financial engineering to securitize the rental income. They took the reliable weekly cash flow from thousands of working-class neighborhoods, packaged it into financial instruments, and sold it to international institutional investors seeking guaranteed returns. The local pub was no longer just a place to meet friends. It had been converted into a high-yield, inflation-hedged bond, traded on international capital markets. Today, these giant pubcos are quietly shifting their strategies again, evolving to dominate the future of hospitality. They are using advanced data tracking, analyzing customer spending patterns, and converting old tenanted venues into fully managed, tech-enabled experience hubs. They install digital ordering apps, automated inventory systems, and dynamic pricing algorithms, maximizing the exact amount of revenue extracted from every square foot of physical space. They have turned human social interaction into a finely tuned science of capital efficiency. Yet, this brilliant economic machine harbors a massive, hidden flaw that could crash the entire system, because these megacorporations relied on billions of pounds of cheap debt to buy up all this property. Rising global interest rates have sent shockwaves through their corporate balance sheets. When vast mountains of debt mature, the cost of refinancing threatens to consume the massive cash margins they extract from their venues. If interest rates stay high, the giant invisible empire could be forced to liquidate thousands of properties at once, triggering the largest shift in real estate ownership Britain has seen in over half a century. This leaves us with a profound, eye-opening truth about the modern economy. The next time you walk into a traditional pub, order a drink, and enjoy a quiet conversation, look closely at everything around you. You aren't just standing in a local neighborhood venue, you are standing inside a masterfully engineered, invisible corporate trap. A system where local culture is monetized, risk is passed to the weak, land is controlled by the powerful. And your simple night out is powering a multi-billion-pound financial engine that most people will never even see.